What happens when one of the world's wealthiest men, Elon Musk, walks into a bustling bank dressed as a homeless man? This surprising and inspiring story will change how you think about generosity, innovation, and the true value of humanity. Stay tuned to see what unfolds. It might just leave you speechless. It was a crisp morning when Elon Musk decided to take on a unique challenge. Dressed in a scruffy jacket, torn jeans, and worn-out shoes, he left his lavish lifestyle behind to step into the shoes of someone society often overlooks: a homeless man. His goal? To see how people, particularly those in institutions like banks, treated someone they believed had nothing to offer. As Elon entered the bank, heads turned briefly before quickly looking away. No one wanted to meet his gaze. The security guard, a burly man in his 40s, frowned, eyeing Elon suspiciously. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone laced with irritation. "Yes," Elon said calmly. "I'd like to open an account." The guard smirked. "Do you even have money for that?" Elon smiled faintly, unfazed. "I might surprise you." The guard rolled his eyes but waved him toward a waiting area. Elon sat down, observing the environment. The bank was pristine, with marble floors and a chandelier sparkling overhead. But amidst the polished surface, he noticed something else: the hurried staff, the impatient customers, and a general sense of tension. Minutes turned into nearly an hour before someone finally called his name. A young bank employee, Sarah, approached with a clipboard. She looked hesitant but professional. "Mr. Musk?" she asked, clearly not recognizing him. "That's me," Elon replied, standing up. Sarah led him to a small cubicle and sat across from him. "How can we assist you today?" Elon explained his request to open an account. Sarah asked for identification, which he provided, and as she glanced at it, her eyes widened momentarily. She quickly composed herself, assuming it was just a coincidence. "I'll need an initial deposit to open your account," she said, her tone more polite than the guard's but still skeptical. Elon handed over a crumpled wad of cash. It wasn't much, just enough to meet the minimum requirement. Sarah hesitated before proceeding. As they continued, Elon casually asked about the bank's policies and how they treated low-income customers. Sarah, trying to maintain professionalism, stumbled over her words, not entirely sure how to answer. Elon noticed her discomfort but appreciated her effort. Meanwhile, a loud voice echoed across the room. It was the branch manager, Mr. Peterson, a sharp-dressed man with an air of authority. He was scolding an elderly customer who had trouble understanding a transaction. "This isn't a charity," Peterson barked. "If you can't keep up, maybe you shouldn't bank here." Elon's eyes narrowed. The scene was disheartening, but it solidified his purpose. As the day progressed, Elon witnessed even more troubling instances of indifference and dismissiveness. It became increasingly clear that the bank's culture fostered a cold and transactional environment, particularly toward customers who didn't fit the idealized profile of wealth or stability. At one point, a single mother entered the bank, clutching a folder filled with documents and accompanied by her young daughter. The child, no older than 7, clung to her mother's hand, her wide eyes scanning the bustling room. The mother approached the teller counter, visibly nervous but determined. "I'm here to apply for a small loan," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The teller, a middle-aged woman with a stern expression, glanced at her over the rim of her glasses. "Do you have all the necessary paperwork?" "Yes," the mother replied, pulling out a neatly organized folder. She began to explain her situation: a temporary job loss, mounting bills, and her plan to use the loan to stabilize her family's finances. The teller, however, barely listened. She rifled through the papers with a perfunctory air, occasionally raising an eyebrow. Finally, she said, "I'm sorry, but based on your credit history, we can't approve this loan." The mother's face fell. "Please, there must be something you can do. I've been trying so hard to rebuild my credit. I just need a chance." "I understand," the teller replied, though her tone suggested otherwise. "But our policies are clear." As the mother gathered her papers, her daughter tugged on her sleeve and whispered, "It's okay, Mommy. We'll figure it out." The woman forced a smile, but Elon could see the tears she was holding back as they left the bank. The scene gnawed at him. He had always believed in the power of opportunity, how a single break could change someone's trajectory. Yet, here was a system designed to deny that very chance to those who needed it most. Moments later, an older man walked in, clutching a faded envelope. He approached the counter hesitantly, his hands trembling. "I need help with this," he said, sliding the envelope toward the teller. The teller, clearly impatient, sighed loudly. "What exactly do you need help with?" "It's my pension," the man explained. "I think there's a mistake in the amount." The teller barely glanced at the documents before saying, "You'll need to call the main office for that." "But I don't understand how to do that," the man said, his voice tinged with desperation. "I came here hoping someone could explain it to me." "I'm sorry," the teller replied curtly. "We can't handle that here." The man stood there for a moment, as if unsure of what to do next, before shuffling out of the bank. Elon's jaw tightened. He had seen enough. Later, as he wandered around the bank, pretending to fill out forms, he overheard a conversation between two employees at the coffee station. "Did you see that guy earlier, the one who looked like he hadn't showered in weeks?" one of them said, snickering. "You mean the homeless-looking one?" the other replied. "Yeah, I don't even know why we let people like that in here." Elon clenched his fists. The casual cruelty was infuriating. But amidst the negativity, he found a glimmer of hope in Sarah. Sarah was helping an elderly woman navigate her online banking app. The woman struggled to understand the interface, but Sarah patiently explained each step, her tone kind and reassuring. "Take your time," Sarah said, smiling. "We'll get this sorted out together." Elon watched as the elderly woman's face lit up with gratitude. It was a small moment, but it spoke volumes about Sarah's character. Before leaving the bank that day, Elon approached Sarah discreetly. "You're different from the others," he said. "Why?" Sarah looked surprised but thoughtful. "I guess I just try to treat people the way I'd want my own family to be treated. Everyone deserves a little kindness, don't you think?" Elon nodded, deeply moved by her words. The next morning, Elon returned to the bank, this time as himself. His transformation was dramatic. Gone were the tattered clothes and disheveled appearance. Instead, he wore a sharp suit, his polished shoes clicking against the marble floor. As he stepped through the door, the contrast in his treatment was instantaneous. The security guard who had been so dismissive the day before now rushed to greet him with an almost comical sense of urgency. "Good morning, Mr. Musk," the guard said, standing straighter than he ever had before. "Welcome. How can we assist you today?" Elon gave a small, polite nod but didn't linger. He strode into the main lobby, every step commanding attention. Whispers began to ripple through the bank. Employees who had ignored or judged him the previous day now looked up with wide eyes, their expressions a mixture of shock and apprehension. "Is that?" one teller whispered to another. "It's Elon Musk." Word traveled quickly, and by the time Elon reached Mr. Peterson's office, the branch manager was already at the door, nervously adjusting his tie. "Mr. Musk, what a surprise!" Peterson said, his voice oozing with nervous enthusiasm. "We had no idea you'd be visiting. If we'd known, we would have—" Elon cut him off with a raised hand. "No need for formalities. I'm here to discuss some observations I made during my visit yesterday." Peterson's face went pale. "Yesterday?" he stammered. "Yes," Elon said, stepping into the office. "You didn't recognize me, but I was here as a customer. I wanted to see how this branch operates without any pretense or special treatment." Peterson swallowed hard, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. I see. Please, have a seat." Elon sat down, fixing Peterson with a calm but penetrating gaze. "What I witnessed was troubling," he began. "A culture that prioritizes efficiency over empathy, policies that punish the vulnerable, and attitudes that dehumanize those who don't fit a certain mold." Peterson shifted uncomfortably in his chair, nodding along. I understand your concerns, Mr. Musk. We strive to maintain high standards, but occasionally—" "This isn't about occasional lapses," Elon interrupted. "This is systemic. I saw customers turned away without genuine assistance, dismissed with indifference, and judged based on appearances. That isn't just bad business, it's unethical. Peterson opened his mouth to respond, but Elon wasn't finished. Take, for instance, the single mother who was denied a loan despite having a clear plan to repay it, or the elderly man who was brushed off when he needed help understanding his pension, and let's not forget the treatment I received when I walked in wearing clothes that didn't scream wealthy. Peterson's face was now a deep shade of red. I assure you, Mr. Musk, we take these matters very seriously. I'll personally ensure that our staff undergoes additional training. It's not just about training, Elon said, his tone firm. It's about values. What kind of example is your bank setting? What kind of legacy are you building? Peterson nodded vigorously, scribbling notes as Elon spoke. You're absolutely right, Mr. Musk. We'll make immediate changes. Elon leaned back slightly, his gaze softening just a bit. Good, because if I don't see measurable improvements, I'll have no choice but to reassess my relationship with this institution, and I'm sure you understand what that would mean. Peterson's eyes widened in panic. Of course, Mr. Musk, you have my word. Elon stood, signaling the end of the conversation. I'll hold you to it. Before leaving the office, Elon had one more request. There's an employee here named Sarah. She stood out yesterday for all the right reasons. I want her efforts recognized and rewarded. Peterson nodded quickly. Absolutely. I'll make sure she's acknowledged. Elon smiled faintly. Good. And remember, real change starts at the top. Lead by example, Mr. Peterson. As Elon walked back into the lobby, the atmosphere was electric. Employees were scrambling to appear busy, stealing nervous glances at him as he passed. But when he reached Sarah's desk, the tension melted into something warmer. Sarah, who had been quietly sorting papers, looked up as Elon approached. Her expression shifted from surprise to a cautious smile. She hadn't expected to see him again, let alone have him stop at her desk. Her heart raced a little, but she remained composed. Mr. Musk, she greeted him, her voice steady yet warm. Elon smiled, his eyes softening. Sarah, he said, his tone carrying a genuine respect. I just wanted to thank you for your kindness yesterday. It's rare to find someone who still values real human connection, especially in an environment like this. Sarah blinked, taken aback by his words. She had only done her job, had tried to help where she could, but to hear such praise from someone like Elon Musk was unexpected. I appreciate that, she replied, her cheeks flushing. I'm just doing my best. You're doing more than that, Elon said. You're making a difference, and that matters. He glanced around, his eyes briefly scanning the other employees, who were now pretending to be immersed in their work, but couldn't help but watch the interaction. It's people like you who can change the way this place works, and, if you're open to it, I'd like to help you do that. Sarah's eyes widened slightly and her pulse quickened. What do you mean? She asked, her voice almost a whisper. I've seen a lot during my visit here, Elon began, choosing his words carefully. And I know that what I experienced wasn't just an isolated incident. I've been paying attention, and I think you have the potential to lead some real change. Sarah felt a rush of excitement and apprehension. Lead change? Me? She couldn't help but question whether she was the right person for something like that. She was just a regular employee after all. Elon smiled reassuringly. Yes, I've seen how you handle people, how you listen and care. That's what sets you apart. And I believe you can inspire others to follow your lead. That's something we need in today's world, genuine leaders who care about people, not just profits. For a moment, Sarah didn't know what to say. She had never seen herself as a leader, and yet, here was one of the most influential people on the planet telling her that she had what it took. It was almost too surreal. She felt a surge of gratitude and a sense of responsibility she hadn't anticipated. I don't know what to say, Sarah murmured, her eyes glistening. I've never really thought about being a leader. I just try to do my job well. Elon placed a hand on the desk, leaning in slightly. And that's exactly why I'm saying this. You've already got the core qualities of a great leader: compassion, integrity, and a strong sense of empathy. You're doing it already. Now imagine how many more people you could help if you were in a position to truly lead. Sarah's mind raced. Could she really do this? Could she step up and become the change she wanted to see in the world? She had always felt like she was just a small cog in a much bigger machine, but Elon's words were planting seeds of possibility in her heart. "I'll be honest with you," Elon continued. "I think you could lead a program that helps customers who are often overlooked, people like the elderly, the homeless, single parents, and others who often fall through the cracks. It would be something to bring compassion back into banking, something that puts people first." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. A program like that would be groundbreaking. It could not only improve the bank's reputation but also make a genuine impact on the lives of so many people who felt ignored by traditional banking systems. It was a dream she hadn't even dared to voice before, but now it was being offered to her as a possibility. I don't know if I'm ready for something like that," Sarah said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "I mean, this is a huge responsibility." "You don't have to do it alone," Elon said, his voice calm and assuring. "You'll have support. But the first step is realizing that you have the potential to change things for the better, and I think you're more than capable of doing it." Sarah looked around the lobby, seeing the busy employees rushing back to their tasks and the customers who had come in for their appointments. In the midst of it all, she felt a new sense of clarity. She had always cared about the people she served, but now she could see that there was a bigger opportunity to make a lasting difference, not just for customers, but for the entire institution. "I'll do it," Sarah said, her voice steady but full of determination. "I'll give it a try. I'll work hard to make it happen." Elon's smile grew wider. "That's the spirit. I'll be here to help whenever you need it. And remember, the future is about creating opportunities for others, not just for yourself. Lead with that in mind, and you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish." With those final words, Elon turned and made his way toward the exit, leaving Sarah standing at her desk, feeling as though the weight of the world had shifted just slightly. She had been given a chance, an opportunity to create change, and for the first time in a long while she believed she could make a difference. As the door to the bank swung open, Elon Musk stepped outside into the bright morning light. The sun was shining, casting a warm glow over the city, and for the first time, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. His plan had worked. Not only had he exposed the flaws within the bank's culture, but he had also ignited something far more powerful, a spark of change. Elon knew that change wouldn't happen overnight. But with people like Sarah leading the way, change was no longer just a distant dream. It was something tangible, something achievable. He had seen it in her eyes, the same determination he had seen in himself when he first set out to change the world. And as Elon Musk made his way down the street, he knew that the world was a little bit better than it had been the day before. He had seen firsthand that one small act of kindness, one conversation, could shift the course of someone's life and in turn, change the lives of many more.